Ground-source geothermal is supposed to be the answer, free heating and cooling from dirt under your yard, technology humanity has been using for over 2,400 years. But a viral video I recently came across has been telling millions of people that it's been banned in the US, somehow suppressed, buried, or made illegal. And yet, 10 miles from the US Capitol, beneath one of the country's largest net zero buildings, there's a quarter-mile concrete tunnel running exactly that technology right now. So is there something shady going on? Is it illegal, or are these videos just full of hype? Well, I got to the bottom of all of it, and I especially care because I'm thinking about going ground source geothermal for my heating and cooling at my house. Let's figure this out together. I'm Ricky, and this is Too Bit Da Vinci.
This video is brought to you by Anker SOLIX.
I pulled the actual building code that the video said had banned this. I cross-referenced the federal lobbying disclosures. I even tracked down the 2005 Belgian paper on the passive house that was abandoned after it almost killed the family living inside of it. I pressed out the real DIY build from the ground up, and I started designing the system for my own home because this is a topic I now have a genuine personal interest in, and I wanted to get it right. Dig 6 to 10 feet below your lawn, and the soil temperature sits right around 50 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit year-round, completely indifferent of whether it's 95 outside or 15. Oak Ridge National Laboratory documented this back in 1981. The Earth is a giant thermal battery sitting under your foundation, free for the taking. But there's two completely different ways to tap that battery, and confusing them is the single reason most everyone gets this topic wrong. The difference comes down to one thing: what you push through the buried pipe, air or water. And here's the single most important number in the entire video. Water by volume carries 3,450 times more heat than air. 1 inch of water pipe moves more thermal energy than a 12-inch air duct at a fraction of the pump power. The viral video is telling you to pipe air through a 150-foot PVC tube, which means maximum plumbing in exchange for minimum heat transfer. It is a uniquely bad way to harness the thermal energy in the ground. And the real ground source system actually running in more than 1.3 million American buildings today, without exception, use water or brine instead. The Persians figured this out 2,400 years ago. In the desert city of Yazd in central Iran, now a UNESCO World Heritage Site, engineers built massive domed ice houses called yakchals, constructed from water-resistant composite mortar called saruj, and stored frozen ice straight through summer where the daytime temperatures climbed well past 100 degrees. They paired those ice houses with underground water channels called qanats that ran for literal kilometers across the desert to distant mountain foothills, and with tall chimney-like towers that caught the prevailing wind and pulled hot air up and out of people's homes. No electricity, no refrigerant, and no moving parts. This is physics genius that has been staring humanity in the face since before the Romans figured out concrete. There are 4 ground couple systems that actually matter in modern practices. The worst is the one in the viral video itself, called an earth-to-air heat exchanger. You bury a long PVC pipe, push outdoor air through it, and vent the cooled air into your home. It does work in principle, and in a dry desert climate with careful engineering, it works in practice. But the track record in humid climates is genuinely scary, and we're going to get to that here in a minute. Second is the horizontal slinky loop, where you lay coiled plastic pipe about 5 feet deep across roughly a quarter acre of yard, fill it in with water and antifreeze, and pump that fluid through a heat pump inside your house. Because water carries 3,450 times more heat than air, you need a tiny fraction of the pipe for the same thermal effect. The catch is that quarter acre of open yard, which most suburban homeowners simply don't have. Third, and the one most professional installers use today, and the one I'm planning for my own place, is the vertical borehole. You drill 3 to 5 holes straight down 200 to 400 feet deep, down a U-shaped loop of high-density polyethylene pipe into each one, and grout it into place. The footprint shrinks to about the size of a parking space. And because you're tapping deeper, more thermally stable ground, the performance is actually higher than the horizontal version.
It's already spring, which means storm season is here. That's why I've been testing the Anker SOLIX F3800 Plus, and why I'm participating in the Anker SOLIX 100 Preppers campaign for storm season. This is the Anker SOLIX F3800 Plus. A single unit pushes 6,000 watts of power, 58% more output than other portable power stations of the same capacity, with dual 120 and 240 volt plugs to run your electronics, fridge, internet modem, router, and AC at the same time. Pair 2 units for 12,000 watts, enough to power nearly every appliance in your house. Add the Anker SOLIX home power panel, and the system takes over in just 30 milliseconds, faster than any generator. And with Storm Guard mode, your batteries are pre-charged before bad weather hits. Expansion batteries scale up to 27 kilowatts per unit, or 54 with 2, enough to run essentials for weeks. Not all portable power stations have 240-volt plugs, so if you have larger devices like RVs or well pumps, this can handle it. And recharges from a 240-volt gas generator and idles at just 40 watts. So even after days of power outages, you're still up and running. For us, no power means no business. For you, it might be newborns or CPAP machines. For my parents on well water, backup power isn't optional. It's why we installed an Anker SOLIX system at their house. Whatever your situation, Anker SOLIX is the only backup power you need. Search Anker SOLIX F3800 Plus on Google, Amazon, or check the links in the description for the best deals possible. Huge thanks to Anker SOLIX and you. Now back to the show.
And the fourth is one I didn't even know existed until I started researching this video. You drill one shared borehole for an entire neighborhood and run ambient water loop between every building, and each building taps in with its own heat pump. Because some buildings are calling for heating and others are calling for cooling at the same exact moment, the loop quietly moves waste heat from one building to another for free. Colorado Mesa University's district system runs at a measured efficiency of up to 80.9. Let's come back to the viral video's biggest claim, which was that this technology is banned by American building codes. The video cites something it calls Section M161 of the International Residential Code. Section M161 actually doesn't exist. The real section M1601 and subsection M601.1.2 specifically permit underground ducts. You have to use non-corrosive metal, provide positive drainage, and get the design approved. The code doesn't ban this. The code just tells you exactly how to build it legally. Second claim, that the trade group called AHRI, the Air Conditioning, Heating, and Refrigeration Institute, spent $47.3 million in 2022 lobbying against the technology. I think we can all agree that lobbying does happen. So I pulled AHRI's actual building lobbying disclosures from Open Secrets, and the real number was 965,000, off by a factor of almost 50. And the kicker is that AHRI is the trade association that counts every major geothermal heat pump manufacturer as a dues-paying member. So they are definitely not lobbying against their own members' flagship products. And remember that these systems still have huge amounts of labor and things that you have to install. And here is the single piece of physical evidence that ends this banned debate completely. That quarter-mile tunnel I mentioned at the beginning of this video is in the basement of the Unisphere building in Silver Spring, Maryland, the headquarters of a biotech company called United Therapeutics. It opened in 2018. It's LEED LEED Platinum certified, the top tier of America's green building rating system, and it's one of the largest net zero commercial buildings in the entire world. That concrete thermal labyrinth is exactly the kind of system the viral video says is illegal. And it was permitted, it passed code, and it's running today about 10 miles from the US Capitol. But the viral video has one thing really, really wrong in the other direction, and ignoring this part would genuinely hurt somebody. In 2005, a family in Belgium moved into a brand new passive house with an earth tube buried underneath it. Within months, the people living inside started developing serious health problems. Researchers from KU Leuven investigated and found that rainwater had infiltrated the buried pipe. Standing water had pooled at the low point, and mold had colonized the entire inside of the duct. Every time the home ventilation fan came on, it was pushing contaminated air straight into the family's living space. They abandoned the house after about 2 years, and the home was eventually declared uninhabitable. In December of 2007, Dr. Wolfgang Feist, the founder of the Passive House Institute in Germany and the single most influential figure in European energy-efficient buildings, publicly stopped recommending direct air earth tubes. Modern European passive house design now uses a closed brine loop that captures the ground's thermal benefit through a buried water pipe without ever letting the buried air touch the inside of the house, which gives you all the physical advantages without any of the mold risk. The viral video is telling you to build a $300 PVC earth tube in your backyard and pipe that air directly into your living room. In a dry, arid climate like Colorado, New Mexico, Utah, California, where we live here, you might be able to get away with that as long as you carefully engineer it and ensure there's no risk of mold or standing water. In Florida, Louisiana, or anywhere near the Gulf Coast, where summer dew point sits above 70 degrees for months at a time, it is a mold factory waiting to happen. Do not build this in a humid climate. A family has already been driven out of their home for this reason. So besides that, The technology does actually work, and it's fully legal, and it could save you money, and it already powers more than 1.3 million American buildings. So if direct air as the fluid is not a good idea, but using water as a cooling loop to extract the air and exchange it into the building is a good idea, why isn't every home built with this? Well, 3 reasons. Cost. A 3-ton vertical borehole system runs $25,000 to $45,000 in new construction, and $35,000 to $65,000 as a retrofit on an existing home, like what I'm thinking about doing. Now, to know if that is worth it depends on where you live. Our friend Matt Farrell, who runs Undecided, has a ground source heat pump for his house. And based on his higher electricity prices in Massachusetts and very cold winters and old bills, he found his payback period to be around 10 to 15 or 17 years. But that will depend on where you live. If electricity is cheap or natural gas is cheap, that term might be longer. To give you an idea, in my research here in California, it's a bit of a mixed bag because our costs are going to be really high because everything in California just costs more, but our electricity prices are ludicrous. So there might be a potential for a decent payback return period. The second problem is drillers. There are only 500 to 700 certified vertical geothermal drillers in the entire US. In most American metros, the number of contractors who can actually drill and install one of these systems is 1 or maybe even 0. You cannot scale a national market without installers, and you cannot train new installers overnight. 3 is inertia. Fewer than 3% of HVAC contractors in America have ever sold a ground source system in their entire career. When your furnace dies on a Tuesday night in February, you call the guy who installed the last one. And the last one was gas, so the next one is probably going to be gas as well. This is not a conspiracy. It just comes down to when you need this. For example, if it was the heart of winter and your furnace goes out, you're probably going to just call the first guy you can with the best quote and get this installed. If you have the opportunity to take your time and to change it out before it dies, you might have more options. But like we mentioned, there might not be any contractors. Now, here's a part of this story that genuinely surprised me. I started this video thinking America had forgotten all about ground source geothermal. And it turns out America is quietly building it at an enormous scale in places the viral video apparently never looked. 20 minutes east of downtown Austin, Texas, there's a development called Whisper Valley. One of the residents, a guy named Alan Constant, pays about $90 a month for his summer electric bill in the middle of the central Texas heat. His neighbors in nearly identical houses just outside the development pay around $300. Both homes are running air conditioning in July in central Texas, and one of them cost a third of the other. The entire difference is ground source geothermal. Whisper Valley covers 2,067 acres in Manor, Texas, and is slated for 7,500 homes at full build-out. More than 800 are already occupied, and the first residents moved in back in 2018. We actually have a viewer named Mallory who we've met with, and we've seen her house. It's pretty awesome. And she just says that she leaves her HVAC on 24/7 all the time. It throttles up and down and just keeps the house comfortable. Something we definitely don't do here in San Diego. Underneath every single lot, there are vertical boreholes 300 feet deep, drilled during the original site grading, before the foundations were even poured. Residents paid about $60 a month for the thermal service, bundled right into their mortgage. And homes start in the mid $300,000. Homes built for working class people in the middle of Texas, running exactly the technology that the video said was illegal. 1,700 miles northeast of Austin in Framingham, Massachusetts, Eversource Energy switched on the first utility-owned thermal energy network in all of North America on June 4th, 2024. It comprises 88 boreholes drilled 600 to 700 feet deep, about a 1-mile ambient water loop running into 37 buildings on the system, and is projected to cut heating and cooling bills by 20% and emissions by 60%. 13 states are now actively exploring copies of the Framingham model. And in 2022, Massachusetts rewrote its state law to reclassify gas utilities as thermal utilities, giving the companies that used to sell you natural gas to burn in your basement the legal permission to become geothermal installers for your entire town. And in April 2025, Dandelion Energy, a company that spun out of Alphabet's X Lab back in 2017, announced a partnership with Lennar, one of the 2 largest home builders in America, to install vertical geothermal in 1,500 brand new Colorado homes. But here's the thing. From when I started researching and getting quotes and stuff, something changed. On July 4th, 2025, as part of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, Congress terminated the 30% federal tax credit for residential geothermal installations. Commercial installations still get the credit up until 2035, but it's gone for homeowners. So that means that around $12,000 rebate check that we would have gotten on our taxes, gone. ACHR News, the trade publication that actually covers this industry, is reporting that the residential geothermal market is bracing for a 30 to 50% drop in shipments this year as a result. Dandelion Energy pivoted its entire business model in October 2025 to a monthly lease program, $10 to $40 a month for a new build, $200 to $300 a month for a retrofit, specifically to absorb the loss of the federal tax credit. Like I mentioned, I'm still probably going to do it because I'm just deeply curious and I love the idea of ground source heating and cooling. So don't forget to like and subscribe. We will have a video where we talk about my experience. I'll break down the entire cost, the permitting process, the drilling, and make some awesome content around it. So then this video, this viral video that started going out there, got a couple things wrong. The ban, not a thing. They got the lobbying wrong. They got the building code wrong. And they got the $300 price tag wrong. These systems are not cheap. You can imagine, start digging a hole and experiment yourself. It's not going to be cheap, but it could be fun. I've seen other YouTubers do this before, build their own systems and try them out. And I'm all for that, as long as you're careful and understand the risk of humidity and mold. But what do you think? How important is ground source geothermal? We already have super efficient air source heat pumps today. Our friend Matt Farrell did a video comparing his build to one of his buddies and talks about his geothermal ground source versus air heat pumps. And there's a lot of different ways to go, and there's no one size fits all for every use case. But hopefully this clarifies some of the things that video definitely got wrong. So until we start our series on our system, check out these videos we think you're going to like. I'm Ricky with Vinci. Thanks so much for watching.